Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we actually have some really crazy news where, in all honesty, although Xbox is sometimes a bit more on the low-key side when it comes to profit, when it comes to revenue, when it comes to all that stuff, we actually had a nice little comic kind of being flown around too, which basically goes and shows on how crazy the Xbox Series X and S has actually been, and how crazy the Microsoft gaming division has been. And on top of that, why it would kind of make sense why Microsoft, the big head honchos themselves, are down to go and drop $70 billion on the Activision acquisition, because everything is actually going a lot better than expected over at Xbox. So to go talk about some crazy sales numbers, crazy like financial things, and overall some kind of cool stuff that, for me, at the end of the day, I just want everyone happy and all these big gaming companies making and doing and performing well so we can make even more cooler IPs out for you guys. And it kind of seems like that's kind of the case right here. So a lot of fun stuff, a lot of cool stuff to go talk about. So make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. As well, keep on checking out those Samsung SSDs down below and the brand new $50 gift cards going on down below as well for the Amazon PS5 Digital Console Controller, Twitter and Twitch stream as well. Link down below, and sign up for Weeble. Deposit $100 to get a bunch of free stock and free money. Same with that Coinbase too as well. And let's go and dive into this video itself, because this is some kind of cool news. So, as you guys know, there's always been that big back and forth fight when it comes to the Xbox and PlayStation. But one kind of intriguing things too as well to kind of go and see is how much the Xbox Series X and S are actually making, what the actual sales numbers are looking like, and let's go and dive on into it, because everyone always wants to know who is actually winning this big console fight. And it kind of seems like with like a really big momentum as of recently, the Xbox is actually kind of coming in a little bit more clutch than we're anticipating. So with this, we actually have an article over here from Video Game Chronicles, kind of showcasing up some cool information from Daniel Ahmed, who have showcased up the channel before, basically going and talking about the Xbox revenue and how much money they're making. This is in regards to the Xbox, where they go and post record annual revenue as Series X and S sales are now estimated at over 12 million total consoles being sold, which is ridiculous. Although still, the PlayStation 5 is still just slightly ahead of it too as well, and also slightly ahead of it in terms of overall like production wise. But this is crazy to go and see. And also, just generally, Microsoft's gaming division generated over $16 billion in revenue as of last year, which is crazy, especially in comparison to PlayStation 5. But overall, it's not really like a big fight between the two. I'm just happy that gaming as a whole has been doing great. So the Xbox division generated its highest ever annual revenue of $16.28 billion during the 2021 calendar year, which is insanity. That is crazy. So as noted by Nico Partners analyst Daniel Ahmed, the figure beats the previous record set by Microsoft's gaming division a year earlier, and this, for the initial launch of the Xbox and such, by 17%. Hardware revenue rose 63.3% year over year to $3.7 billion, which I would like to go and say that would kind of make a lot of sense too as well, mainly because there's a brand new console. You're going to have like the whole, basically the very tail end of 2020. It was up for the initial launch. You had like the holiday season. But you didn't have like, the Januaries, Februaries, March, April, Mays, etc. You just basically had that nice 2-month period. So first and foremost, that would make absolute sense that the hardware revenue would actually go up so high. And as well, now with all these analytics based on the revenue numbers and everything, you can basically have like a good, really rough idea of expectations when it comes to how much you're making. And now is apparently saying that it's been sold over 12 million units, which in all honesty, we always kind of kept on assuming that the Xbox is just not making as much as the PlayStation, which to a time that was true. But as of right now, it does kind of seem like the Xbox Series X and S is actually kind of coming back on up, and apparently has also been having a lot more restocks. And for someone like me, who has been tracking all these restocks and seeing them every single day, these past like 3 months, we have seen Xboxes pretty much everywhere. When it comes to like even a GameStop yesterday, we've had basically Xboxes floating around all the time. Microsoft Direct this week alone. And on top of that, we keep on seeing Target nonstop always having Xboxes available for online, and let alone the Xbox Series S, which is always consistently available up on Amazon and other various retailers. It's kind of crazy to go and see. And as well, it kind of seems like they're kind of inching back up and up and up and up to get closer towards the PlayStation 5. So as well, content and services revenue was up 8.8% year over year to $12.6 billion. The increase was driven mainly in the Xbox Game Pass subscriptions, which would make sense. That's the main thing they're trying to go and push and make money on. And once you have one person locked in, they're essentially locked in for a pretty long time. Usually for me, I've kept my Game Pass subscription since I got it, and also in the anticipation of more future games and more third-party titles, I'll probably be keeping it for quite some time. This is also partially offset too by declining third-party software sales as well. So like at the end of the day, you may not go make as much money on third-party games or even maybe first-party games like Forza and Halo, but if you have it included on the Game Pass subscriptions, at the end of the day, you're still getting your money either way, which is very smart. The Xbox Series X and S systems continue to sell faster as well than any other generation of Microsoft consoles, which would make sense to all three of the major big boys with the Switch, PS5, and Xbox have actually doing phenomenal as well. So in a New York Times interview this month too, we also claimed that the persistent Xbox shortages were actually not really a result of less consoles being produced, just more in the case of like just scarcity and people just were bored and they want to get the consoles and scalpers and botters and all the usual stuff we always cover up on the channel itself. So here's the actual intriguing information too. We can go and creep up on Twitter over here where we can go and see this, where the Microsoft's gaming division, or Xbox, reported their revenue, as we showed before, of $16.28 billion over here. And this is kind of how you can have the rough idea of how well the consoles are doing, and on top of that too as well, which is kind of nice to see. Like if I'm a company and I'm seeing that my company's making billions of dollars like this, we're kind of vibing. You guys could also go and see on how big the content and services, which is in regards to the Game Pass and Game Pass various sides, is doing. Hardware is doing great, which would make sense with the Xbox Series X and S kind of fully churning out finally, but it just keeps on crazy to go and see how this Game Pass keeps on bumping up and up and up. And I'm sure as there's even more first-party Xbox games kind of come on out, the Game Pass subscriptions will definitely keep on going up more and more and more. And especially whenever the Activision acquisition's fully done, we can totally go and see Call of Duty definitely making some really big charts over here. So basically, Phil Spencer says, when you think about trying to go get an Xbox or a new PlayStation right now, in the market, they're still really hard to find. And it's not because supply is smaller as ever been, supply is actually as big as it's ever been too as well. And this all kind of goes and ties into when it comes to them trying to make as many consoles, do as many consoles, and of course now with the acquisition, now also hopefully have a lot more first-party titles such as Crash Bandicoot, Overwatch, Call of Duty, Warcraft, Guitar Hero, and all that mixed on in. So very, very cool to go and see. But overall, like, we don't usually get to see too much of a big comparison, but this kind of goes to show that the Xbox actually might be fully catching up to the PlayStation. Seeing crazy sales numbers over 12 million consoles is ridiculous. And in all honesty, now, I don't usually like to go and stir up the big Sony versus Xbox debate. This actually might be something that Sony should be a little bit worried about, because right now they do have the very first step, first movers, and kind of the big, like the kind of the hype factor where I think more people still want the PS5 or the Xbox. But at the end of the day, if basically Microsoft keeps on making such really big acquisitions and making big moves, you kind of have to go and react sooner or later, or else you might actually go lose this really big console fight. But of course, at the end of the day, as long as everyone's enjoying their consoles, having fun, I'm okay with that. But it's always crazy just to go and see how the Xbox and how well it's doing. And also just a little bit of side more too as well for the overall gaming stuff. We actually saw Capcom go and have its revenue jump over 35% to over $700 million, basically on how well the Monster Hunter titles, which as you guys know, Monster Hunter Rise just came out, and Resident Evil Village titles have been doing as of recently. Both these in general have done phenomenal, and Resident Evil Village is even going to have a lot more stuff coming out in the near future. So they actually finally had a chance to release their financial results for all these 9 months over here, and they basically had a huge, massive $774 million increase over the last fiscal year, which makes a lot of sense too. A brand new Resident Evil game that did extremely well would make a lot of sense. But on top of that too, also having all these other various games mixed on in, like such as Monster Hunter, which are usually done pretty well, nothing wrong with that. So they also had a nice little $307 million operating income too on top of that. And also, which basically all had like the nice Capcom video game output too as well. They also had a nice 44% increase in sales too on top of that, with also their operating income also going up too as well. So mainly kind of comes down to the Resident Evil Village, which I'm sure you guys have seen, which sold over 5 billion copies. Very good game. Monster Hunter Stories 2 as well, pretty okay game. And on top of that, even Resident Evil 7 also topped 10 million units sold as well. And even for the next year, they're also forecasting up even more net sales coming on up for this upcoming year. So ideally, hopefully we'll have some even cool brand new Capcom titles coming out over here. So you can basically go and have a chance to go and enjoy some brand new games. That always seems cool to me. So kind of give me your thoughts, especially on the Xbox itself. I think those numbers are very surprising and very, very good. And overall, just kind of fun to see gaming as a whole doing so well. So make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on, as well for the brand new PlayStation 5 giveaway. Keep on checking on out those good old Samsung SSDs and also $50 gift cards down below. Twitter and Twitch stream as well, link down below. Sign up for Weeble. Deposit $1, get a bunch of free stock, free money. Same with that Coinbase too as well. And on top of that too, keep on going and checking on out those cool little Amazon links for the PS5 on top of that. But give me all your overall thoughts and comments down below. And I appreciate you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day. So we'll have a bunch more videos all throughout the next few hours. Love you guys.